ladies and gentlemen of the STH universe. I am Casey, the owner and former operator of the STH. You have known me for characters such as Steen, the second Undertaker, the second Jeff Hardy, the second game, Randy Orton, and of course, most famously known as Kane. I am joined by
Money Mike! That's the only name I'll go by. It's AKA Corey Brewster. But mainly, it's Money Mike.
He was also the second Matt Hardy, of course, Edge, and
They just want to know about Money Mike. That's the main character here.
Clearly, some characters never die. Some characteristics never die.
Money.
The second Money Mike in general. He was also known as Reverend Mike for a short period too. Praise the Lord, right? Hallelujah. We are here on the part 1 of the 4 documentary of the aftermath here of the STH. We are here to talk about the history, our favorite memories, our favorite matches, some of our least favorite matches, and here to answer some questions. And we're going to see where it goes. Of course, throughout this 4-part video, you are going to be joined by guests including Jordan and possibly Preston, and including Sean, the original Undertaker of the STH. So, let's get started. First and foremost, let's talk about our first matches that we've ever had here in the STH. How about you, Corey? You remember your first match?
No. All I know is Money Mike.
I remember it though. His first match was him against myself as Steen versus the second Matt Hardy.
Really?
And it was in the downstairs living room of back in Portage at the Charwood grounds area. Vaguely I remember you beat me. That's what I remember.
Oh, I don't remember it.
It's kind of hard to remember back because you debuted, I think, back in 2017. So what do you even remember what your first impression was realizing you're going to become a backyard wrestler?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be interesting. Pretty fun.
Pretty fun, huh?
Pretty fun.
So what'd you think after you finally took some of your first bumps and everything? Once you had your first match, what was your afterthought?
I was ready for some more.
And I think afterwards you took on the role of yourself. You were the referee. You started off originally as our referee, and then you teamed up with another alter ego of mine, the Big Show, and we became the official show.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you won your first title. And I think that's when we faced both the Jadens, and that was for their tag belts. It was their last time they teamed together as the J-Dogs before they disbanded and retired.
Wow, that was a long time.
It was a long time. There's wrestling. There's so much history behind there. But I remember your first titles. It was the Unified Tag Team belts. This is when we were using the WWE belts at that point. And this is when it wasn't even the big WWE belts. It was just the little toy belts. Get that. I remember my first match. It was against the original Money Mike, who happened to be my older brother, Michael. It was a decent match, I don't remember much, but I just remember that it was decent. It wasn't that great because I didn't know how to truly really wrestle that great yet, so I was still kind of learning my craft. Because my first finisher wasn't even the chokeslam. It was just basically a swing out version of the execution. Honestly, it was just a DDT.
Pretty complicated.
It was kind of complicated, but
complicated.
I didn't start using the chokeslam until like 2008. So
Execution is not my favorite DDT.
It wasn't mine either. I actually legitimately took an execution from another wrestler back in my pro wrestling circuits, and it's all right. I don't really think of it as a finisher, but
Not much.
So, would you believe though? You talking about history? The STH debuted January 1st, 2003. That is over 20 and a half years ago.
I don't even remember that.
You weren't even. You were around alive. We had never met each other at that point. I was only 9 years old at that point. Just to think, I was only 9 when I started doing it. We started in a trailer park out in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And it started with just
15?
9 years old. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm 30.
Yeah,
30-ish, 32, I think.
I'm 29, so
31, maybe.
it just started with three of us. There was that, me, Michael, and our friend Chris. We started just typical backyard. We used the WWE Raw brand. That was the only brand, but we had no belts at that point. It was good. We used the basketball courts as our steel cage Hell in a Cell matches. It was all good, and Chris, left by the end of 2005. But before he did, we had the first Final Stand, which was 2005. And believe it or not, there was only 2 matches in Final Stand of the first one. Final Stand to be our big. At that point, Final Stand wasn't considered our biggest show of the year. We didn't have a big show of the year. This was just our first pay-per-view we did. So in 2005, we did Final Stand. It ended up being Chris versus some other person who decided to join on for one day. And then the main event was Money Mike versus Kane to determine the first WWE champion. We had this WWE styrofoam toy spinner belt at that point. Overall, good match. And in the end, I just remember Money Mike tried to come running at a spear, and I caught him in a swing out DDT, and that was it. Now, and I became champion.
That must have been some DDT because I don't remember that.
Concussion City, my friend. So, believe it or not, back then, from the beginning all the way until about the end of 2009, all the matches that we did were not predetermined. There was no predetermined winners or losers. So you had to legitimately try to win. Otherwise, you lost. So, we did that for a while. And then I think 2006, now the original Money Mike, he was still under contract, but he was not wrestling in 2006, though. He left. Obviously, couldn't handle the loss. I don't know. To this day, I still don't know what the reason was behind it. But anyway, we decided to move it down to Sturgis for the first time.
Has it been now? Has it been now? Since we've known each other? It's been...
Dude, 2006...
I remember, I thought you were 24. What? We've known each other for 5 years.
Imagine that. I'm 29, man. So yeah, 2006, and this is where STH really peaked in its popularity. This is where we gained a shitload of wrestlers. Notably, I met this guy named Shiloh, who ultimately became The Game, a knockout version of Triple H, but just called The Game. And this is where we had 2 brands now. We had SmackDown added, and then we added a second title. We added the World Heavyweight title. I remember our first match, we had an encounter. He couldn't believe it because he was bigger than me, but I threw him around like a rag doll, legitimately. And then we started gaining all these other wrestlers, and half of them I don't remember half their names, but we did this one thing. We had probably more than, I think, 50 or 60 wrestlers at this point. But in the end, half of them were already part of their own little organization, but they also decided to use the WCW style brand.
Yeah.
So we split it off and stuff after this, but we did the first ever Rumble in 2006. And we had 2 Rumbles. We had a Raw Rumble and a SmackDown Rumble. I won the Raw, and Shiloh ended up winning the SmackDown. Shiloh went on, won the World Heavyweight title. I was the WWE champion still at this point. And in the main event of that Final Stand, me and him fought to unify the world titles, which started the undefeated streak of Kane at Final Stand, which I won again. But the rules stated that you couldn't carry both titles between both if you were signed to different brands. So I had a choice between the World Heavyweight or the WWE. I chose to keep the WWE reign going. So I did, dropped it. And then Money Mike returns the following year. Out of nowhere. Fucking returns out of nowhere again. This time we added 2 new titles to the belt. We added the WWE Tag Team belts. And this is the ones that SmackDown used in the Ruthless era with the blue tag on it. So Money Mike teams up with this new wrestler, and it's the first female wrestler we had, which ends up being Jaden and Jordan's sister, Randy Joe. Money Mike teams up with her to face 2 people from the off brands. They win. They win, become the first tag team champions in STH history. Imagine that. Money Mike disappears, and then comes back and settles for the tag team belt with a female. it seemed insane.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know what the hell you're thinking. Anyway, we had Sean, we had Teddy, we had a lot of people. Then by 2007, things were still going pretty good. We had our final stand, and the main event rematch was against me in the game again. I won again. But what happened after the end of that final stand is what led, for some reason, led to Shiloh's departure. I had him like in a rear naked choke almost. He gets me up almost in a Samoan drop, and ends up dropping me on my shoulder instead. Legitimately, all of my weight and his weight went on, and I ended up tearing the muscle tissue apart in my shoulder. I was legit injured, and his contract ended, and he decided not to resign. So we lost Shiloh, but we still had everybody else. But then, somewhere along the lines, we kept dropping. People kept dropping. Everybody went their own way. Some people stopped wrestling, and then some people wanted to do other wrestlings. So by then, the STH popularity in Sturgis started to decline, and then we moved out of Sturgis and went back to Kalamazoo for a short period, only to end up in Parchment by 2008. We did that, and we got a little power failure. Imagine that. Oh yeah, now we got some power. So anyway, now we're in Parchment for the first time, and we gained 3 new wrestlers in the roster. And by then, this is still our what we call the Born into Attitude Era. It was our version of the Attitude Era. So we gained this people, Sebastian, Seth, and Dakota. Dakota ultimately becomes known as Demonic. Seth becomes Seth, and Sebastian. We end up, and then 2000. Not only that, we gain a new wrestler. My younger brother, Jaded, joins the fray of the Impact. But he doesn't debut as Jaded. He debuts as Steve Austin. And then this is where we also add a third brand now, ECW. We have the ECW title now.
Yeah.
And this was also where we added our first extreme style match ever, known as the Prison Yard match, which we were locked up in this octagon style cell, and it literally looked like something out of a prison yard, but we had pods that actually had kind of like an elimination chamber almost, but they were built more like a jail cell. And yeah, multiple people entered in, and it went off the hitch. I didn't win the first one. Dakota did. He won. By the way, I think.
I thought you were talking about a girl. That's
No.
That's a female name.
You think? No, he won. He won the WWE title. Now, this was the thing. I was WWE champion from 2005 all the way up to 2008. So I had about 2.5 years of not losing that title at all, which became the longest reign, and it's still the longest reign to this day of STH history. But we also added like the belts, like the European belt. And then we started adding the World Tag Team belts. And then by 2009, Jordan joins the fray. Jordan's only 4 years old at this time. Jordan's only a 4-year-old child.
All right.
Him and Jaden are the tag team champions. Me and Dakota become the World Tag Team Champions, part of a group called Destruction Inc. We beat Jaden and Jordan, and then everybody else is winning stuff. Everything's going good, and then so what happened was Dakota got the belts, right? Now this is what led to him getting terminated. It's because technically, you know the rule as a champion. You lose a belt, you get a rematch clause whenever.
Yeah.
He refused to give me my rematch for the European and WWE title, and basically told me that the only way we're going to get our belts back is buying them back from him. It's like, no, it's our property. But he refused to, which then in the end, things got escalated, and I decided to terminate his contract.
Okay.
So we got that. And this, believe it or not, by 2009, at the end of it, this is where I decided, at this point, our bodies are getting too beaten up from all this legit brutality wrestling. Like, we're legit shoot wrestling. We're not fake and partial bits of it. So that's when I made a decision when we moved to the next location in Portage, we're going to make it staged wrestling, much like professional with stage.
What year was this? 2008?
This is 2010 now.
10.
Now we're in Portage, and now the wrestling fake. And we gained a bunch more wrestlers. But in the end, it did not sit, believe it or not, it did not sit too well in the very first few years of it. because most people didn't like the transition, including the longtime fans. But we will get more into that transition on part two. Um, anyway, now there's a little bit of the first gap a little bit of the first gap. I'll go more into it in the part two video. But so we're talking about favorite matches and stuff now. What are your three favorite matches you had? If you can relate any matches you can remember. If the
The
if the concussion didn't get you too.
I remember one or two, I think.
Well,
A championship win. That's good. The most fun is when remember I fell out of that trampoline.
I think what it was, I Irish whipped you, and we had the trampoline with the netting around. We were using that at that point. I think it was your first year.
That one was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, what was it? You got Irish whipped into the netting. And you literally bounced so hard to the net that you fell through. You actually
fell through the net. Was it face first? I don't remember if it was face first.
You might have been face down after that. I don't know, but all I know is we had to stop the recording the match because we couldn't even continue it.
The first, where I faced you in that hardcore match where Jordan was, filled in for Jordan.
Oh, you think? I think it was a couple of years ago. It was the final stand. It was supposed to be Jordan versus me in I think it was a last man standing match. And Jordan legitimately was still actually not fully recuperated from his injuries, so he placed you in as a filler.
Yeah.
And you took the vast majority of the hits and the beating, and then at the very end swapped out, and he came in and because I think I set the structure thing on fire.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
threw me
We had
into
flaming table.
We had a flaming table structure, and the fire extinguisher went up, which that was actually hard to breathe in. And then I think at the very end, he just took
that
4 lights struck against me, and that was the end of it.
Those are my top moment and my top match.
You want to know what my favorite moment was? But it became a blooper because it was never seen on camera.
Oh yeah.
It's when you were like trying.
I
think you were trying
channeling the spirit.
You were like,
within me.
Within you, I think you were trying to challenge within Red Fred, but it kind of came off a little more wrong. You're like, oh. I don't know what it was. There was a blooper like Red Fred was like on his knees in the mask, and this was like I think
never released.
I think it was back alley breakdown. It was the last time that all 4 of us were together, and he was like doing almost some kind of baptism crap, and then just kind of came off a little more wrong. We still got the video, and you're gonna get to see that video.
Yeah.
It was a great moment. We couldn't continue because it's too hilarious. I want to say my favorite match, especially against you, was that same final stand, but it was the first match you did. It was the ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh, I remember that. You
Can you hold on?
You dropped the briefcase on my head.
The damn briefcase would not come unhooked off the wire, and it finally did, and then the ladder tilted, and I was like that, maybe that close from actually knee dropping you before I had to reposition. Yeah. But it was a fun match, and I think overall that was actually considered.
I did like that match too. It was memorable for me.
I think overall, I think that out of all the matches of that final stand, that was actually the most favorable by fans. That was that. Oh shit! I had a lot of good. I think one of my favorite matches was mine and Jordan's match in the abandoned Charwoods Ground match, and this was Jordan's first match back in years. And this is when I dressed up in the classic WF Kane outfit.
Is this when you went through the window?
Yeah, this is where I got. This is when I ended up getting pushed out the window. It was a good match. The match overall, I think it was Jordan's longest match too. I think overall combined, it was over almost an hour of a match. Very good match. Another favorable one I liked was our triple threat to determine the first hardcore champion as well as the ECW. And this is when we were using the big belts. I think it was you as Matt Hardy, me as Steen, and Jordan as Jordan. worked beautifully. The triple threat match, the chemistry was there. Of course, one of my all-time favorite matches will always be with me and Shiloh.
Hold up, it's been 20 minutes. I need another $20.
You know what, Money Mike?
This interview.
You're the land of riches. Remember, you got your match. Oh man, oh, I can combine them together. Yeah, no, oh, well, that match was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I did like, I think, I think early on, I think matches were. I remember one of the matches I liked watching was yours and Preston's first match one-on-one together.
No,
You were Corey, and I think you were as yourself, Corey, and he was The Rock for the World Heavyweight belt.
Yeah.
And I was out here. It was right out here in 3 Rivers too.
Yeah, he.
You actually shoot wrestled each other.
What is it? Some personal stuff went on, and he was messing around with my girlfriend. So
yeah,
I had to teach him a
lesson. And man, what is with the power failures today?
teach him a lesson.
So
So I just dominated him completely, and I think it was Steve Austin, not The Rock.
I don't know. Either way, because I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Preston played Steve Austin only a handful of times. So
I had to teach that boy a lesson.
a lot of good matches.
Luckily, I get to sleep next to Donnie's mom every night.
Speaking of which, man, the IMF. I know a lot of people, including IMF, are actually wondering why this rival never became anything more than just a promo shoot.
Oh, it was a rivalry. It just never went anywhere because
a lot of it had to do with
many factors.
Mostly it had to do with
Life.
with life and its works. Our work schedules are all over the board because half the time we're doing these matches, we're never doing them on the weekend. It's like back a few years ago, we were doing them mostly on the weekends, but then transition schedules changed.
Yeah, I would have loved IMF's going bright now because of us. Because of that, I mean.
IMF, I'm gonna say IMF is going great because they're putting the work and the effort in, and they're putting out. Yes, they definitely started getting on the map a little bit with us.
I'm a domino effect guy. I'm like, if this between us never happened, then they wouldn't be where they were.
So the real question is, would any of us ever show up to an IMF show to wrestle them?
Fuck yeah!
Personally, I would, under my own professional wrestling persona. As myself, yeah, hell yeah, I would.
Oh yeah, if you ever do that, take me out.
I would.
I
honestly, I still would love to have a chance to work with Omen.
They seem like pretty cool guys.
Honestly, you never know what next year might bring.
Never got to work out.
You never know. If they send the invite, I might just make my way out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, a lot of it was work for schedule related. There was no way to make it happen as much as we wanted to. There's just no way we could get everybody together at the same time.
There's a way. There was a way.
There was
not in this universe, but
there might
the other.
But
yeah, I'm a multiverse guy too.
So there's a lot of that.
It's in the multiverse.
There's a lot of that. No, it would have been a fun thing because not often we get challenges on us. But the problem is Jordan also, if you remember, he became more unmotivated towards the very end of it.
Really unmotivated.
Yeah, he's still
probably in the beginning. He probably was like, yeah.
Well, it's what it is. What it is. I mean, that's ultimately why we didn't make him such a big main event player towards the end. But he also did a lot for it. He stuck around a long time too. So, another question for you, Mr. So-called Mike. So, fan wants to know.
It's actually Corey.
Whatever. So, fan wants to know, what was your initial thought when you found out you would be taking on the role of the legendary Money Mike character, substituting the original Money Mike, and how did you find a way to make the Money Mike character come to life using your own personality traits over the original Money Mike? And overall, after all of it's been done, what is your overall thought of the character, and do you feel very successful and happy with the character?
That was very long. I don't think I can answer that with my concussion, but I'll give it a try.
Okay, let's break down first.
So,
here's your first part. What was if you can remember, what was your original thought when you found out that you would be taking on the role of this character?
First of all, I'm a simple guy with simple pleasures like money, pose, simple pleasures. The first time was I didn't have no thought about Money Mike because I didn't know anything about the character. But yeah,
Think I told you when it came to the character wise. Think parody Eminem. Think like
Malibu Most
Most Wanted. Think
Wanted.
about
Yeah,
Malibu's
yeah,
Most Wanted.
yeah.
Think like B Rabbit, and use that as your boost. So now, how did you manage? Did that help? Was that little boost is what helped brought the character you to bring the character to life, or did you? Where did you find the characteristics to make Money Mike what it was?
Where did I find? I didn't find him nowhere. I just got him deep within. I thought of the most funniest shit to what this guy would be like, and I just went out there and did it. Yeah, I watched Malibu Most Wanted and took some more from that.
Jamie Kennedy.
Some from that.
Jamie Kennedy.
Really good. Jamie Kennedy in one of the
Anthony Anderson
uh
was.
the Tremors movies. Great. Anybody tells you they're awful, they're not. They're great.
So now that you played the character on for quite a few years, what is your overall take on the character now? Did you feel like the character was a more success when you took it on, and did you enjoy playing the character overall once it was said and done?
I enjoyed Money Mike is nothing like Corey. Corey's nothing like Money Mike.
One's broken, one's rich.
Two
And
different
one's
mindsets.
got Donnie's mom, and the other one has Stacy's mom.
And I was really, really
I
lucky and grateful to have that other outlet where Corey lacks. So it was fun character to play.
Now the good question is, when STH comes back as a professional organization, will we see you or the Money Mike character back in SCHW? Would you, if the opportunity was there, would you take on the role of Money Mike?
Champion Day 1! Nah, I'd be running that place like I was running IMF.
Hey, put it this way though, I think overall you made Money Mike a champion success because the original Money Mike only won the tag belt. You won, what was it? You won a Rumble match as Money Mike, and Money Mike, you also gave him 3 STH World Title reigns, including being the final STH World Champion in this company. So that was pretty good. I think you overall made Money Mike definitely what Money Mike should have been versus what the original one did. The original one was definitely close to the rapper gimmick. You took the rapper gimmick and made it a B-Rad gimmick.
I just wanted to do something and make it great, and I'm glad it's so memorable now.
Oh, another question for you as well. What is your opinion on each of the people you faced, which includes Jordan? What is your thought? What is your opinion on Jordan's wrestling characters ability, Casey's wrestling character skills, and Preston's? And who was your favorite to face overall?
Favorite to face Casey.
Not because I'm sitting right here. But.
No. Jordan. First when I met him, it was like he was lazy. And I didn't think that I would like him more than I like my own like my own sisters. I mean, he's like a brother, and he's got some flaws like all of us, but he's a really great kid.
I'll say kid because he's only like 19 years
old. So, he's a grown adult, but
he's still a kid.
He's a kid. And Preston. Yeah, he didn't lack the motivation or the ability to do this. Yeah, he wanted to do this. He just kept being unavailable.
But when he was available, I mean, overall, he did fine for the most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it it is what it is. When you,
Well,
Jordan's ring skill wise was very good for a big guy. He can definitely do things, but obviously the biggest flaw I would say on
yeah.
him is he couldn't keep his pants up half the time, literally. So yeah. Over you, if I had to overrate all you guys, I would say I already just said Jordan for you.
Oh, I'm the greatest wrestler that's ever been in STH.
Oh, I think
Count on that.
I want to say when it comes to character wise, yes. In ring wise, honestly, no. I'm the best there was. You, if you had to watch, if I had to give you your first video, which I still have the first video, which actually I think the first video is on the YouTube page. It might be, I don't know. Um, from when you started to where you ended, you definitely improved in a lot of spots. There were sometimes you were stiff in spots, but I think the more things you just got to be confident in what you're doing. The more confident and loose you are, easier the flow goes. But you did very good because you were willing to take whatever was given to you, even if you didn't necessarily
Yeah.
agree to it. Preston took everything that he needed to do, but he definitely made the characters of these power outages. Oh my god, he definitely made the character.
Funk you.
He made the character. It was great. I think
What
his
is-
Red Fred character was.
Is
very
it
good.
daylight savings time?
Yeah, my
Fuck
bad.
you, it's dark out. It's only
So it's only
6 o'clock?
So fans ask me, prospectively, what happened to some of the wrestlers, in particularly Jaden, Shiloh, and Sean, and exactly are they still wrestling or what it is. So Shiloh does not wrestle anymore. He had retired. He is still in the Sturgis area though, and I'm still in very contact and very good friends with him. Sean wrestles on and off still, but not as consistent. But he's down in the Sturgis area still, and I'm in touch. Jaden unfortunately will not wrestle ever again because Jaden landed himself on the wrong.
He's got a lot of time on his hands now.
Jaden, unfortunately, let's put it this way, because I can't really disclose why he's there, but Jaden got himself on the wrong side of the law, and he's behind
Fought the
bars.
law and the law won.
And now he's behind bars for a long time. So, for that, as for like Jaden Nee, he's just off doing his own thing too. I mean, I could list on every wrestler's status because I know everybody's status. Most of the guys that are no longer here are actually retired now. I'm not retired. I'm just done with backyard wrestling. Obviously, we all are. So the videos that you guys are still seeing of us posting the matches were pre-recorded.
I'm not
STH.
I still have a fight in him.
STH backyard wrestling is truly done.
This guy still has a fight in him.
Yeah,
He fights every day.
yeah, mostly with the kids. Little shits. Yeah, it's been a long, good run. You know, I don't think if it wasn't for you joining in, it wasn't for Preston, I don't think we would have made it to the 20-year mark anymore because I didn't have Jordan a lot for doing it. So
It's all a dynamo effect, man. The
domino effect. Yeah.
domino effect. It's,
The thing is also backyard wrestling. It's not as popular as it once was, and for people like us to try to keep it alive for just a little longer, it was. I wish we would have had a lot of the videos back in the beginning heydays, but back in the day, internet wasn't really big, so there wasn't a lot of.
Any more questions?
Oh yeah. Was there any specialty match that you wanted to do that you never got a chance to do?
All of them. And I especially would want to go back into the era where it wasn't scripted, because I know I'd be more aggressive.
They definitely toughened you
Definitely
up, that's
be
for
more
sure.
aggressive.
You know what match, specialty match, I think you really would have loved back then? The prison yard match.
The one with the Helens chamber and
it was
chamber thing,
almost like it was almost like a jail chamber thing. It was a very destructive match. We did all kinds of matches. We even did our own burial live match once before. Yeah, that wasn't probably the smartest idea, but we did it anyway. We even did a dumpster.
Yeah.
We did a dumpster match.
More matches that are the extreme, more extreme
matches.
matches.
I think though, if it wasn't for us transitioning to a scripted based thing and staging it more, ain't none of us would have our bodies would have survived as long as it did.
You know, like I said, everything's a domino effect.
So I think in here probably in maybe 2-3 years from now, STH will be back, but as a professional independent circuit.
Well, we can't really say.
I'm aiming anywhere between.
That's the hope of.
That's
STH.
the whole. Yes, it's a hope, but I'm looking in hopefully maybe 2 to 5 years we will get there.
Of the STH locker room, with the locker room.
I think we'll have some wrestlers that people have seen, and we'll have wrestlers people have never seen, but we'll be in a ring this time.
And maybe IMF and STH will clash
We'll
once again.
I think somewhere down the line we can still have that hope of it clash, and it definitely could happen. And who's to say you might see us two, phones, you might see us two in the IMF next year.
Yeah, maybe, baby.
Planting those seeds down. So, I think
we're
it's
gonna
great.
wrap this up.
But all right, guys,
hungry.
this is going to be the end of part 1 of the documentary. Join us for part 2 here in a few weeks.
I'm rich.
3 and 4, we're going to run down more history, more
I'm
questions.
rich.
So if you got it, keep asking, and we will join you for part 2. Thank you for the first session, guys.
Love
and
you
thank
guys.
you for the support of 20 years. Till next time, see ya.